I'm talking. Can you hear me? I have it on, I think. Yep, I'm green. All right. Good? You got me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Sorry, I'm shifting on you. I'll go back and forth a little bit. Is Kevin by himself up there? Tell him he doesn't have to stick around if he doesn't want to. I mean, I won't reference him, and he can. Anybody that shows up later, they can watch the recording. I'm sure he has other things too. See, that's good for your queasiness. A banana will help.
It'll help with the drive.
Exactly. It'll get you, coat that stomach and get it done. Okay, so here's the deal. You ready, Jim? All right. Oh, you know what? I should put the other PowerPoint up. Okay, so here, I'm going to preach to the choir for a minute here. I had to do this last night as well, all right? It's funny, all right, is what it is, because flashback to 5 sessions ago, right? In the evening session, we had 54 people at the first one, right? So I put out there, who wants to make 100K, all right? They come beating their feet. We had to bring in more chairs. There's not enough room. Fire marshal's showing up. Okay, we're breaking all sorts of laws, right? Okay, we start doing the work or telling them what it's going to take. It starts to dwindle. Last night, 11. Okay, 11 out of 54. Here, we had, I think, 32 the first time we met. All right, okay, and now we're down to 4. All right. Here's the thing, guys. Remember the 80-20 principle? That 20% of the people will do 80% of the work? All right? You guys are the 20. All right? Pat yourself on the back. Okay? What's that?
It would be nice. Your checking account doesn't show.
Well, and we're gonna talk about that. All right? We are working on that, and that's okay. But here's the funny thing, is that I started doing some digging in the numbers, right? Our Orlando office has about 20 or 25 agents, and we're about 9 months in, and it's not where I want it to be. So I'm starting to dig in some numbers. And here's where I've decided to go. I said, you know what? I'm going to take a look hard and fast, and Keller Williams is a great place for us to go to recruit. All right, it's just a natural. There's some commonality in the way we think. All right, and so with that being, say, hey, look, let's give you that same amount, same type of feel with a lot less money, right? So it's a great place. So, but I've also learned that if I've got an $8 or $12 producer at Keller Williams, they usually have a team. They've got things going on. They're right in where they are. So it's real hard for them to make a change. And I get that, right? Even though, you sit there and say, hey, I know you're making $300,000 a year, and that's great because you're doing $10 million a year, all right? But you're paying them $21, you only pay us $4. Don't you think it'd be a better idea? And you might be paying them more than $21 because they have, a lot of times their team members have to pay a half cap and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of add that up for them. But I just haven't gained much traction with them. Like, hey, you know what? I get it, but I'm just no way. I would lose $30,000 to make the change because of just the transition. All right, cool. What's that? That's great. I appreciate that. But and I get that. So where I think our wheelhouse is with those people is about the $2 to $5 million producer. All right, because a $2 million producer in there is grossing about $60,000, right, of commission. Grossing. Okay, 3% of $2 million, $60,000. All right. That's the whole idea. That's why they came up. Here's. Can I tell you the secret behind Keller Williams? You don't have to, if you aren't from Keller Williams, you don't have to worry about it. But the secret behind Keller Williams, why did they set their cap at $21,000? $18,000 for the local cap, $3,000 for the national franchise cap. Why is it $21,000? Well, it's all based upon $2 million production. Because a $2 million producer will generally get 3% of 2 million, which is 60,000. 30% of that is 18 grand. There's your local cap, right? 6% of that is another 3,600, right? Of the 60,000. So that makes up. They stop it at 3 instead, and so it's basically roughly based on the $21,000 cap is based on a $2 million producer. So I'm digging in and I'm thinking, okay, let me go after those guys, right? 2 million and above, because they're capping. I can show them 4 grand instead of 21 grand. So instead of making 39,000 after their broker split, they're going to make 56 with us. That's significant, right? That's a $17,000 difference on, 40,000. I'm showing them how to increase their net income by 50%. All right, if we run the numbers, let's really bore this down. So that's a great idea, right? And it's still a great idea. I'm going to do it, right? So I already started making these phone calls, but it surprised the heck out of me that large offices, all right, 140 agents over in Tampa or at Orlando Keller Williams, this one office. Guess what? How much was it? There were 28 of them did 2 million or above. Okay, out of 140. I ran the numbers. That's 21.7%. Interesting. So I went to another office. All right, pulled it up. Who's doing 2 million or above? All right. Oh, they were at 22.1%. This office, 19.6%. All right. No matter our office, 22.73%. All right, of our offices doing 2 million, of future homes doing 2 million or above. Charles Ruttenberg, I just pulled their numbers up this morning because it's intriguing to me, right? I'm starting to see these numbers come out. All right, 19.6% of Charles Ruttenberg's 956 agents that they have, a member of the Pinellas Realtor, a board of realtors, Pinellas Suncoast, did 2 million or above. The numbers are the numbers, right? It's exactly. It's amazing to me to see how it's coming in, and so I've always promoted that. Hey, look, I don't think it matters where you are in an office. I really don't. Other than the fact that you need to have support. If someone's going to just chuck you under the bus and bail on you when things get tough, and or not going to help you when you need help, that's a problem, all right? But most offices do that. Most offices, you can find somebody to help you, right? At the end of the day, then, okay, keep your money, right? If you're going to do that, if you're going to get the same amount of help from everybody, keep your money. But it was just shocking to me to see, no matter what, Keller Williams, you got to go to Keller Williams because they're the perceived leader in training. If you're brand new, go to Keller Williams because they're going to get you up and running. Guess what? Their numbers are the same. All right? Their numbers are the same as everybody. You know who makes it in this business? Are the people who decide to make it in this business. It's the same 20% that makes it. Right? It's the same 20% that from week 1 are still here. Right? And so how that 20%, you've got to decide to be that 20%. I can't decide for you. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to put it. Right? I mean, I wish I could. I wish there was a wand I could wave. I wish there was a potion I could rub on you. All right? That would make you be the 20%. I can't. Right? Now get it, don't get me wrong, I know we're in Florida too, because I bet you these numbers are different in other states, because in Florida we have a higher proportion of retiree realtors, all right, that are skewing those numbers down a bit, all right, that are saying, hey, you know what, I'm cool, I've got a nice pension coming in from my job, I worked, I put in my 38 years at, United Steel up in Pittsburgh, and now I'm down here, and if I can sell an extra home or two a year, you know what I mean, little extra golf money, we get to go on a cruise this year, whatever. All right, they got their stuff covered, they're happy, they're good, and we've got those agents in our office. I get it, I'm cool with it. That's perfect, right? But those of us who need to make a living out of this thing, all right, and that's what it's supposed to be, where do we go? How do we get there? What do we need to do, all right, to make that happen? And my goal is really for you guys to help you get to that position, that if you do make that decision, how do we guarantee you're not only in the top 20%, but in the higher realms of that 20%, right, above and beyond. Because quite frankly, the 2 million, if you get to 3 million, all right, just that little extra, all right, yeah, I think it'll close slowly, all right. If you get to 3 million eventually on there, now you're in the top about 7%, okay. So that little bit of difference, there's a good number of people between 2 and 3, all right? And remember, our goal here is to be at $100,000 net, okay? So with that in mind, we got to get to a little over 3. We got to be closer to, $3.5 million in production to get that. Because everybody here's at Future Homes. So with that, you get 3.5, you'd be at about 105 of gross. I take my 4, you're fat and happy at 100, okay? So how do we get to that 3.5? And by the way, at 3.5, now you're probably at the upper 4% of, agents, at least in the state of Florida, probably, at least the counties I'm looking at as I'm interviewing or reviewing the numbers. But it was very eye-opening to me, and it was very eye-opening to me last night. 52 or whatever I said, we're at the 53 at the first meeting. Now we had 11. Guess what that is? 20%. Okay, you know what I mean? It's this guy Pareto. All right, you've heard the Pareto principle. That's that 80-20 rule you've heard referenced all your life. It was by this, I think it was a Greek guy, all right, or Italian or somebody that came up with it back in like 1512. Okay, that said 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. All right, that 20% of your efforts will generate 80% of your revenue. All right, it's amazing to me to see how the numbers come out. So that being said, I'm preaching to the choir. I'm glad you're here. All right, and that's awesome. Okay, now the next thing I need you to do though is to make sure that we're implementing on a consistent basis. All right, that we're actually doing the WORK. All right, that it takes. All right. To do that, yes, and we all get the infamous shin kicks. All right, I've had my shin kicked many times in church, from Jeanette, in all sorts of places. I've had my shin kicked. All right, so I've got the shin kicked out of me. All right, by many times. So I get it. All right, but the reality is that we can't shin kick somebody else because the person getting kicked is the one that has to decide. Right, it's their decision. It's not. It goes back to Cubby. All right. Until I can honestly say I am where I am because of choices I've made, all right, then it doesn't really matter. All right, deciding for somebody else or wanting it for somebody else doesn't help or doesn't work or doesn't get it done. That being said, all right, I'm glad you're here and we can crank this through. Here's the other good news about being here when there's 4 of us is A, it's a more intimate setting. That's awesome. B, you realize again that there's no competition for success. All right? 80+% of the people out there are not willing to put in the work that it's going to be required to do this. All right? Now, here's the other thing I'm realizing. Expand your parameters a little bit because, quite honestly, guys, I'm going to make $60,000 this year in just referring business out. Okay, that's just my 25% because I have a new paradigm shift. All right, I've been ignoring it, I guess, but I've been training myself to keep myself attuned to referral opportunities. Maybe it's more getting into, hey, look, that's kind of having an orange grove, right? Where I'm paying somebody else to do the work and I get a percentage of the efforts. That's the whole idea of having an orange grove, right? Is to do that. So Jeanette, last time I was down here 2 weeks ago, Jeanette is at tennis lessons with Joseph and strikes up a conversation with another man there who had a little boy about our younger son's age. Guy works at Vanderbilt, has in charge of their endowments. He's from Nigeria, so she started Kenya, and started having that conversation. What do you guys do? Why you live here? Jeanette, I get a text from she's at tennis. Hey, Bob, who's the agent we usually recommend up here? All right. So I text back. I said, well, what area? And she said, well, it's in the 05, right? And so, all right, in the 05, I said, well, I don't have an agent in the 05 right now. All right, the agent I would recommend is probably not an 05 agent, okay? And so I said, give me a minute. Literally, I was in Orlando, just got done teaching the class, quickly went on, dug through, powered in, found a Keller Williams agent in Nashville in the 05 that works that area, sells about 130 homes a year, all right, has a team, knocks it out, great website. By the way, is a website going to build your business? Nope. All right. Will a website entice me as another agent potentially looking to refer you? Sounds like you got your Shooby-Doo together? All right. Yes. All right, to where I go. I dug through his stuff, investigated him a little bit, went in and researched some of his production, called him, left a message. Now catch this. He called me back in 7 minutes. Okay? Told him what I wanted to do. I said, hey man, I'm a broker of a large office here in Florida. I live in Tennessee. I have my active license up there, but I don't, want to list this property because I think I wouldn't do as good a job as it looks like you can do. I'd love to talk to you about referring. I might have other referrals, right? Boom, stam, boom. He gets back to me in 7 minutes. Guy sells 120 homes a year. I'm too busy to return my calls. Whatever. Guy does 120, and he returned my call in 7. All right? Gets back to me, interview him, talk to him about 15 minutes. All right, commonality, young guy, energetic, has things going on. All right, Iraqi war vet, all the things I love. All right, and going through, he's getting the listing. All right, it's $1 million listing. All right, that's the way things roll in the 05. That's like median sales price, right? I knew it was going to be high end. $1 million listing. All right, it's going to be, the listing side of it's going to be $30,000 in commission. My 25% is $7,500 because Jeanette struck up a conversation at tennis. Okay, let's keep our ears open, right, and attuned to opportunities. All right, I think I told you last time about the North Carolina. All right, where a guy that I had sold a home to here, he wants to sell his home, so I'm referring to one of our agents here. All right, he's a good friend of mine, but he's also going to North Carolina. He goes, Bob, you did a good, and he reminded me, we went to the Rays game on opening day. And oh yeah, as soon as it's finalized, we're going to get that house on the market. And by the way, the agent you turned me on to in North Carolina is awesome. She happens to live in her kids go to the same schools that my wife has already narrowed down. That's the schools, you know what I mean? Because I paid attention as I was listening to his needs, and I dug. I didn't know the school thing. I knew schools were important. That's why they were choosing that area. But I know the school. I happened to get lucky, right? I told people last night, one of my favorite quotes is, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Okay? It's amazing how that happens, right? That when you work hard, then luck finds you. All right? So now I got lucky that she has kids in the same exact school, and so they love her. And he reminded me, we were at the game, he said, you know what? He goes, I figure I'm just going to do this all the time because remember 4 years ago, my mom passed away, and on the east coast of Florida, I needed to sell her home, and you turned me on a great agent. He sold it in 12 days. I've forgotten all about it. All right? But I did the same thing. I don't know anybody on the east coast of Florida. I just dug in, and I know the kind of questions to ask. You know the kind of question. You are better at finding a good agent for them than they are. All right? You really are. So utilize that, and why not make some money on that? Why not get in? So I've had a paradigm shift a little bit, so I'm constantly keeping my ears open, to this. So it's just, that being said, I've done a lot harder things in my life for $7,500 than spend 15 minutes on the phone with an agent. Okay? Trust me. All right? Remind me to tell you sometime about how they harvest prunes. Okay? Okay? All right? Well, they're plums at the time, of course. You know what I mean? Okay, you don't harvest prunes. You harvest plums, and they send them to a dryer, and then they become prunes, right? But talk to me about, working 5:30 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, all right? Because the plums are ripe, and it's time to harvest them. And okay, well, yeah, it is, all right? And so the stuff I had to go through to do that, and so, you know what? I'm not afraid of some hard work. So let's, don't be afraid of that yourself. That's all I'm telling you, okay? Now, that being said, you please do. Throw away, because I'm just going to go through these. I'll get all these up here.
I'm going to throw you some disgusting numbers.
Yep.
So last year, I sold $1.2 million in my first 8 months.
Awesome. That's for 8 months in the business, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
And most of it actually didn't have my first sale until August, so that was from August to December. But do you know how much I made in those 8 months? I netted. That was on my 1099.
How much?
Take a guess.
1.2?
After expenses and everything.
Okay. So this is off your taxes.
Yes, after
Okay.
my expenses.
But you were on a
and stuff
team,
like
though, too, right?
that. Yes.
Okay.
That's why.
So 1.2 should have been 36, but it's not. So let's take half of that because Keller Williams took some, and then you had to split with your team. Let's go with 14? $7,000.
In 8 months.
Yeah. Okay. Now we all know that here. How many deals was that?
That was, I think,
5 deals. All right. So with us, it would have been $34,750.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that's good. All right.
KW agents when you're like, oh, you're on a team ball.
Right. Exactly.
And my expenses were a little higher because it was my first year, and when you get your license, it's
Sure.
like a lot of money to put out, and that's where a lot of it went.
Right.
But it was sickening to me, and that was, I have a family to support. That was my main thing to come and check this out over here.
36,000 didn't sound so bad. 7 doesn't sound so good, right? And so I get that. We got to realize that we're self-employed, and that's why we can't. My goal for you is to $100,000 was a net figure. All right. When I had the 53 people in the room last, at the original one, I say, hey, look, that means for some of you, I got to show you how to make 200,000. Because you happen to be at a position where you'd like to give your broker 50% of your money, right? So, and that's fine. You just have to work that much harder to get there. We can do it. I can show you how to do that, but you just have to work that much harder. That being said, I think that if you apply the principles of this, all right, while simultaneously planting corn and with a diligent effort, okay? It can't be onesie, twosie. Sometimes, Jim Hurley, you guys remember Jim? Jim sat back here. He couldn't come today, so he came last night. All right. He's a guy from New York, retired cop. Okay. All right. Doesn't pull many punches. All right. So we had, even of the 11 that showed up last night, we had some that still 14 weeks into this thing had not sat a bank-owned open house, and we're saying I need clients. I don't have any clients, and Jim just we had to, good thing it wasn't being recorded, so we had, we wouldn't have to beep it out, all right? But just said, what are you doing, all right? What's that? He does, but these other people were like, oh, man, just, I don't know. And he said, well, how many bank-owned open houses have you sat? And they said, well, I did order my signs. He goes, well, screw that. He goes, how long have you had to order your signs? Forget your signs, all right? Go make some, right? Yeah, but he said, whatever, and he just gave up on him and just said, forget it. If you're not going to help yourself, he goes, trust me, guys. I listened to Bob say this 3 years ago. I sat 2 of them and got a few things and didn't put any consistent effort into it, and I forgot about it. Now I'm doing it. He said, and don't get me wrong, it's not all from bank-owned open houses, but Jim Hurley has $2.6 million under contract right now. It's going to close in the next 6 weeks. All right?
I talked to Jim.
Yeah.
He does 2 or 3 a week.
He does.
He's nonstop. He's a beast at it.
He is. He is the same guy who, there's a guy there last night that actually has a full-time job. He's an engineer. And he goes, what? Okay, so he goes, you have a full-time job? And he goes, yeah, so, it's really hard for me. He goes, why? What time do you get off work? He says, 4 o'clock. He says, where do you work? He says, right at Olmerton and 49th Street, right here. He says, perfect spot. He said, there's plenty of foreclosures around there. All right, 4:30 to 7:30. How many days would you do that? I said, as many as it takes to get to the numbers that you want. Okay, it's just a matter of doing it, guys. I'm just telling you, it takes a conscious effort. I'm not saying it's what you want to do. If you've got a better way to meet people, because here is real estate in a nutshell. You ready? Here's the magic potion. All right, if I could wave something or rub something on you. All right, here it goes. Okay, meet people, build relationships, treat them well, work hard for them, and have referral conversations with them. I didn't say ask for referrals. Last time we covered what referral conversations were, right? Not ask for the referral, because you've done the first 4 ahead of that. You've earned the right to have a referral conversation because you've already proven your worth. If you already have a network of group of people, all right, then don't sit bank-owned open houses. Charity work.
I've met a few people, and like on our group, they'll be like, oh, we have donations. Oh, well, I drive around all day for my job. I'll be happy to come pick up if I'm in that area. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a realtor. Oh, you do. They may not use you right there, but it's there in the back of their head. Oh, she does charity work. It's a good person. Da, da, da. She said she's a realtor. Let me see, at least earn you an interview or something.
It's relationships, right? It's the how do we overcome Zillow, right? Guess what? If you have the relationship with the client and they go to Zillow, I don't care how many wavy things like this are happening in the sidebar, all right? Or how many girls in bikinis saying new law in Florida, all right, with somebody bent over the hood of a cop car, all right, to try and get you. Okay, well, maybe they know I'm a guy, right? And so that's they tailor their ads to the guys, right? Exactly. All right, whatever. But they don't pay attention to that sidebar. Yeah, but the Zillow's killing us because an agent, it's my listing, and the agent on the side thing is bought through the zip code, and they're going to get the lead. No, they're not. If your client doesn't even care about the sidebar, let your clients go to Zillow. Jeanette, we're in the process of selling our home and buying a new one in Tennessee. Jeanette, okay, this is being recorded, so don't tell anybody, okay? She has access to my MLS ID up there, all right? Okay, and logs in. We'll call her for if you're listening from Tennessee, she's my assistant, okay? Don't tell Jeanette that. I'm her assistant, is what, okay? But for these purposes, I'm the licensee, and she's there. All right? She still goes to Zillow to check. She has access to the MLS. Why? She likes the functionality of it better. Now, she knows now. She's a very intelligent lady, so she also goes to RealTrax, is what they call it, to our MLS up there, to verify the data. Right? That's the way you should present Zillow and Trulia and Homes.com and Realtor.com and all that kind of stuff to your client. They are going to go there. They are seeing ads right now that say, go to Zillow, sign up for a Zillow alert, let them do that. But say, hey, you know what, guys? Just call me to verify. Because they're a little bit behind. They lag. I've got the real hard data. They're all pulling this from the stuff I have anyway in my Realtor, in my MLS. But I grade it. Go for it. You like the functionality? You like the way that they rate the schools? You like the way that they do this? You like the whatever? Great. Go with it. But then just call me and we'll verify. I'll true up all the data for you. All right?
I've had clients that turn themselves off to it because after the 10th home,
Right.
that wasn't really on the market. They're like, oh, okay, now we get it.
Let them self-actualize. All right? They will self-realize that it's not good data. All right? You don't have to, but you going in and immediately trying to hammer on Zillow. Right? They walk in an open house and say, oh yeah, by the way, I want to go look at these other 4 houses because they're on Zillow. Well, let me tell you about Zillow. Zillow's stealing our business, and Zillow, and that is so not seeking to understand. It's got it backwards. That when you start telling, well, let me tell you from my perspective about Zillow. Guess what the client thinks about your perspective? Okay? They can give a flying flip about whether Zillow is stealing your leads and selling them to other realtors. Right? They want to know, hey, can you help me find a home? Help me negotiate it? Can you help? What if it needs repairs and I don't have the money, Danielle? What do I do then? Aha, now I've got that answer, right? I've got this guy that does a rehab loan. So now let me tell you what I did for a family just the other day, right? Just the other day, they bought a bank foreclosure and we negotiated $115 and we got the closing costs covered, but the thing needed $15,000 extra in repairs that they didn't have the cash. Well, I went out and found them a lender who's willing to lend them $130,000 through this rehab program, and I can help them do that. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. You know how many friends of mine would love to do that? Here's the other thing, too. We have another rental property up in Tennessee. The first house we bought, we moved up there, and we didn't sell it, so we've been renting. Actually, we lived there for 9 months. My tenant has lived there for 4 years. All right, so they've lived there longer than I had. All right. But he just notified me that they're going to be moving out at the end of June. All right. Well, actually moving out sooner, but their lease is up at the end of June. Well, we ran the numbers. He said, hey, look, you know what? Maybe it's time to sell that property. All right. So I'm looking at it, and this is a literally $370,000 home. Up there? Yeah. Because I did activate my license because I have my primary home on the market too with me. All right. That being said, so $370,000 home. I ran the numbers. If they even did a 5% down, all right, Property, principal and interest, taxes and insurance at today's rates, okay? $300 less than what I will get every day in a second for rent on that property. If they bought it, okay? Do you think I'm going to utilize that when I advertise that property? Heck yes. Why aren't you guys doing that? Why don't you have, hey, look, why are you renting? Right? Now, Danielle and I were talking at the meeting before the meeting about how dating myself about my clients couldn't go do the online application because there was no online. All right? That's how long I've been in the business, right? But I ran an ad 365 days a year in the St. Petersburg Times. It's now called Tampa Bay Times, right? It shows you how old I am, right? Okay, the St. Petersburg Times, 365 days a year in the general real estate section, said, stop renting, buy for little or no money down, payments less than rent. Bob McDougall, the only thing that ever changed for 4 years is what company I was with. All right, boom, phone number. You wouldn't believe what called that ad. Okay, all right. Hey, just people out of the woodwork, all right. 90% of them, I called it panning for gold, right? I had to sift a lot of sand out before I'd find a nugget, all right? Not every scoop gave me a gold nugget, all right? So I returned that call. Jeanette would joke that she would hear my spiel, how I answered that call when they called on that ad, in her sleep, all right? Because all I do is tell them what I do, how I do it, how I find down payment assistance, and and the biggest issue is credit, and so on and so forth. And I went through, and I just would pile through these people, all right? It was a source for me to generate more people coming in, all right? The ad was relatively cheap. I didn't do it right away because at first I couldn't do it, all right? But I had answers for them if they wanted help, if they were, workable. I was just looking for ways to meet people. I didn't have I told you guys, I got here, I had lived here 9 months in Florida before I got into real estate. I didn't have this long list of people that knew me here, all right? I just go create relationships. So I think I told this, I don't know if, again, I say I teach a lot of these classes. So you guys know I sold 5 homes, right? Remember that? 5 homes the first year I was in the business? Not total. From this one technique. All right, this is me, didn't learn it anywhere, just thought of it, okay? Divine intervention. I thought, where are there, I was good at saying, why are you renting? Let me run the numbers for you. Why are you renting? Yeah, well, I don't have down payment. No problem, I got this program. All right, or guess what? Do you know if you're going to rent for $700 a month, first in security is going to be $1,200, right? Can you come up with $1,200? Yeah, great. I can sell you a $40,000 home. 3% down. Why would you want to sell a $40,000 home? Because every home translates to 5 sales. I was focused on transactions, right? So where are more renters? Where are more renters? Where are renters I can help? I was passionate about it. I mean, I think I told you, part of it came from my own personal experience where I saw the man come to my parents every month and pick up the check, right? And I remember very vividly being very young saying, I want to be the man. I want to be on the other side of this transaction, right? Mommy, Daddy, who's that guy? Well, we pay, he owns a house and we rent from him. Okay? So I saw that. So I was passionate. That's why, to my own detriment sometimes, that's why I rolled nickels to get my first home. I was going to dadgummit, come hell or high water, I was going to own, not going to be a tenant. So I was passionate about it too, and I am still to this day. I'm a firm believer that home ownership is the first step into wealth building. Right? You got to stop paying. You got to start building some equity. All right, in where you live. All right, passionate about it. Handmade signs. Okay, I was a killer octagon maker. I told you I taught geometry. Right? Okay, so I could draw a killer octagon. All right, handmade. Now I'm talking when I say handmade, me coloring in octagon. Stop. Colored in red. Today, I'd probably go, what's that? Markers. All right. All right. Today, what do you do? Oh, you know, clip art, a stop sign. No, okay, we didn't have, what's clip art, right? So what's a computer? So we had computers. We just didn't clip art and make all our, flyers on this, right? Stop renting. Buy for little or no money down. payments less than rent. The same thing I put on that ad, right? Bob McDougall, whatever company I was with, get a laugh. Little tear strips at the bottom with my name and number, like I was selling a 10-speed. Okay? Okay? You know where I put them? Laundromats. Where are renters? All right? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why not? It's, you know what I mean? Whatever, you just, hey, you know what, guys? Right? Here. So, bam, I would literally, I'd have clients in the car with me, showing property, and all of a sudden I'd see a new laundromat that I didn't know existed. I'd pull over, and they'd say, what are you doing? I got to run in here real quick. All right? Hop out, get out, have my stapler with me. I had them in the trunk, all right? It's at a traveling little file, those are little plastic file things you can get for $22 at Office Depot. Had all my files back there, and one of them was my my little things. I pull it out, or I'd go check on one and say, oh, did someone tore it down, or all my strips are gone. 5. I tracked it. 5 homes I sold from people. I said, well, where did you get my number? Oh, it's at the laundromat. And I pulled a little tear strip. That's hokey. Who knows really how many homes I sold from that?
Yeah.
Because truly, if 5 equals 25 over the next 3 years, who knows? Right? Someone had a question. Yes.
Well, I like everything you're saying. I
Yeah.
totally concur with that. But a part of me wants to chime in because, I do rental.
Yep.
And that's part of why I'm here, because I actually like doing them.
Sure.
And I have realized I'm not very good at staying on top of these people, and several of them have bought something with somebody else.
Yep.
So that's my big thing. Like, I need to, if I was doing a better job of converting these people,
Yep.
I would have my business set.
You know what I would do? I would study the section, and we covered it last time, all right? But go back and review the communication plan.
Yeah.
You set up...
There's so much good stuff here.
Right.
One thing is with renters, renting is not all bad.
Okay.
And many of them, the ones that I have been successfully working with, they always say that I was so kind and encouraged them and validated them, in particular people that are new to Florida.
Sure.
If they rent somewhere, let's say an apartment place where and they don't have a relationship with a rental realtor, if you validate them, oh, I totally agree. Renting is like test driving a car. Who wants to commit the big bucks without knowing if you like Florida? And all of a sudden they feel like, oh my God, she gets it. She gets it. So a lot of that is, but that's the problem. You got to stay on top of them because they're going to rent for 6 months and a day to avoid the tax.
Right.
Or a year.
Right.
Or 2 maybe.
Right.
And then at some point they're going to feel like, you know what, the house up north sold, or yes, we know this is where we want to be, and then they buy. So yes, even earlier than that, when they start renting, is the opportunity already to say, yes, you test drive that, and when you're ready to buy the property, I would love to help you.
I agree 100%. Okay, and I agree with you. The difference I would be talking about, and I agree 1,000%, because I'm talking about the first-time home buyer, because the majority of first-time home buyers don't even know that they can own. Okay, they're like, it's impossible, right? They're coming from my mentality that I didn't break through. That I had to break through. That says, hey, Smiths don't own, Smiths rent, right? And so, with that in mind, I agree 1,000% that if you validate them, that's why people say, would you help someone find a rental? You only make $50, you only make $100, you only make $200. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
If you maintain it, right, they're going to come to you for the sale. If you maintain it, you can't ignore it, right? Just like the orange grove, we can't just ignore the sapling after we put it in the ground and expect for it to bear fruit in 3 years. All right, we still got to go in there and fertilize it, trim it, make sure it's good, make sure all the little sucker things that are stealing all the nutrients are wiped away, right? All that stuff. And so that's an excellent point. And I think it's a very valid business model, all right, to do that. And that's an orange grove that's growing. However, say, hey, Bob, while I'm waiting for that, if I need some more business now, I still think that we go do this and meet some investors, some first-time home buyers, some whoever people that are ready to go, that are locked in. And you got to just develop your spiel, all right? Your shtick when people walk in, wherever you're meeting people, all right, is what am I going to say to them? All right, it's not going to be salesy. It's just I'm just going to get to know them, right? And if I get to know them, and then I tell them a little bit about what I do, I ask about what they do. First, they tell me they ask me what I do. I tell them, you know what, wherever they are in their cycle, hey, look, man, I get that. That's cool, guys. It amazes me how many people, when you sit a bank-owned open house, are not attached to a realtor, right? They just aren't. As many realtors as we have, because we know that 80% of them are sitting at home. Right? So there's no competition. So can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So we just go get them, right? Go get them. And it's fun to help these people. When you don't care about the size of the deal, and all you're doing is saying, man, I just love helping people. You see the joy on a first-time homeowner's face when they get to own a home. And not only a first-time homeowner, but they might be a first-generation homeowner in their family. Man, now you've changed it. Then you start having this discussion about, you know what, guys? We're going to be able to get this for either 0 down because I got this great program, right? Or 3% down because you're FHA qualified and all that kind of stuff. Well, then they call you 3 years later and they say, hey, look, you know what? Just found out Judy's expecting. We need a bigger place. That's awesome. You know what, guys? Have you ever considered, all right, because I'm a firm believer that home ownership is a wealth-building concept, right? That maybe let's try and not sell your place and make that your first rental investment property. All right, you start consulting people. Like, that's how I got started. My first investment, my third home I purchased, I was able to purchase without having to sell my previous one for the down payment, right? So I was able to do that, but I said, you know what? I'm going to keep this one. Because guess what? If I went to go buy an investment property, they want 20% down. If I convert a home that I already had at 3% down, I can convert it, right? It just becomes a rental property. I'll never be able again to buy a rental property for 3% down, okay? Unless it's something I bought as a primary residence, lived in for a while, and then converted it to that. So you have that discussion with them. Maybe it may not fit. It's all about the consulting part, right? Does it make sense for you at this time? Well, I don't want to. Well, let's say you pay me or somebody else to manage the property. Okay, if it's not you, then you don't want to do it. Okay, you get them and they manage it. Cool. All right. So it's not like, I know no one wants to pay attention to tenants and toilets. I get it. That's why you don't want to be a landlord. I get that. But the reality is, you've already lived here for 3 years. In 27 years, if you keep this rented, someone else is going to pay for a home for you. If I walked in and said, hey, well, you want to enter this raffle so you can own this home for nothing, all right, what would you say? Heck yeah, all day long, all right? Now, we all know it's not nothing because there are issues that have to be taken care of, repairs that have to be done, but it's a decision that needs to be made. I'm just saying that, you know what, if you start to have these kind of discussions with people, boy, they start telling their friends, and this is back before the age of social media. Nowadays, people will just blow you up. If you just, again, meet people, build relationships, do the next right thing for them, even if it means put them on a conveyor belt. The people that called that ad, remember I told you that I was sifting a lot of sand? The sand people, I said, hey, look, guys, here's why you're sand and not a nugget. I didn't word it that way, okay? But I said, you can't buy right now. All right? Well, why not? Well, because you chose not to pay your Verizon bill for the last 6 months, okay? Or whatever. All right, your credit is, stinks. All right,
has blemishes.
It has blemishes. Yeah, exactly.
That's the way to. That's the way to.
Exactly. And here's the other thing: when people called that ad, I wasn't afraid. I learned quickly. Say, hey, look, what's your, credit situation? All right, always take it down a notch. If they say it's okay, it's bad. If they say bad, it sucks. All right. If they say you're pretty good, then it's maybe okay but leaning to bad. All right? If they say it's excellent, then it means it's pretty okay. Okay? It's just, this is the way it is, right? So with that in mind, you haven't checked it out. You strike a deal with the lender. I mean, the lender I was working with at the time, I'd say, hey man, you're going to have to, I'm sifting a lot of sand, you're going to have to sift sand too. All right? He goes, man, I'm just running these people. Say, let's get it. I'm going to put them on a program, though, that if they want to clean themselves up, I'll help them. All right? So I told my sand people, if you want help, I'll help you. I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm going to tell you what to do. Here's what you need to, the answer is no. I said, and if you do nothing, I'm going to be running this ad a year from now. You're going to forget you called me. I'm going to forget you called me. You're going to call me again a year from now, and you've done nothing to alleviate these problems. All right? And the answer is going to be no. Okay? I said, however, if you want to do something about it, I'm willing to help you. Right? So they say, okay, what do you want to do? And that's when first thing I made them do is go get a copy of The Richest Man in Babylon and read it. All right? That was my first test, my litmus test for them. I'm not going to push a rope. All right? What do you I said, you can probably get it to the library. If you don't have a library card, you want to go to Barnes & Noble, you can get it for $4.99. All right? Richest Man in Babylon. It's a great story about how a guy set in the Babylonian era was a slave, because when you were in debt in Babylon, you were a slave. Okay? And he worked himself and bought his freedom, and how he worked himself out of debt and became a wealthy person. All right, it's a great story. All right, so they call me. About 10% would ever call me back and say, "Hey, I read the book." I said, "Great. Okay, got 3 questions for you." All right, like, oh crap. I said, "You didn't read the book. When you read the book, call me back." All right, seriously, because they wouldn't answer my questions right. I could tell they hadn't read the book, because I wasn't going to help. I'm not going to push people, right? Now, we got 650 agents, members of the board of realtors with Future Home Realty. I'm not going to go chase them down to say, you guys need to come to 100K. All right, because about 80 of them are knocking it out anyway. They don't need what I'm teaching. The others have decided not to be there. I'm not going to chase you. I'm going to just put it out there. If you want it, it's here. All right? We'll hold you accountable. We'll help you in any way we can. And guess what? People who show up, I return their calls even faster than people who, I got a problem and I need to know, and here's what I needed, Got all these people that, if I just had the right website. I said, come to 100K. Oh, yeah, but if I just had the right website. I said, BS.
That's 7 levels. I will never do just sold again. I will never.
Yeah.
The website I really don't care about. I mean,
Right.
eventually when I'm making $100,000,
Sure.
maybe I'll have one.
Right.
But I'm not going to spend $5,000 on it.
No, you don't need to. Right? You don't need to. There are platforms out there right now. If I were you, if I wanted a website, I'd go get a mobile platform. I can get you the guy's name that we just did, that mobile platform. It cost us $275. All right? 3 years ago? No, catch us. 2 years ago. I got quotes on making our website mobile. All right? $38,000 to start.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Okay? Now, $275, I bought this mobile platform that if you know WordPress, which I don't, but you could go
It's
WordPress
easy.
for Dummies.
It's easy.
Yeah. Okay, you could build your own mobile, because you need to have a mobile, because Google's getting ready to change again.
Yeah.
All right, and if your website doesn't have a mobile platform, doesn't matter. Okay, now to convert our Future Home Realty website, just so you know, into mobile would be a pain. Okay, so we're not going to do it, because guess what? I'm not looking for the consumer to look up Future Home Realty. That's your job. You want the consumer to look up Danielle Sullivan isthebomb.com.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, right. So, all right. Okay. That's a great one. Go get that domain right now.
Oh, I don't know. How to get your track.
Right? So, but with that in mind, you guys need to be concerned about the SEO if you want people searching you. All right? All you want to, though, in my opinion, you want a website that tells about what you do, what your spectrum of solutions are, how you work with people, some testimonials, and IDX capability.
Say this again, testimonials.
Testimonials, your spectrum of solutions, the SOS, right, that Michael teaches in 7Ls, right? Here's what I do, about me, right? They want to know about you, okay? And an IDX solution. They want to search the MLS from your website.
Can we do that?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Can you teach a class on that, Jim?
On IDX?
On how to set up the website, get it all going and all that stuff? Because I've ordered 3 domains from the Florida Realtors, and I don't know what to do with them. I'm paying for them, and I don't even know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Well, we have the FHR website.
Yeah, but that's just a page.
That's just a page. It's just a web page. I mean, it serves. It's fine. I mean, it serves
Like
as
I
a...
can send the link to people and say, here's about me and my testimonials, and
Sure.
it serves that
Yeah, you
purpose
can
for
always
now.
send
So.
that.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
based on my stuff on the KW webpage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a...
The board gives you one, the NAR gives you one.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
MFR gives you one.
Yeah, no,
Right.
So you have all the pages everywhere. They're all over.
Right. So, yeah, they're all free pages, and just load them. I mean, all you do is slide your photo in, slide a testimonial in, and cut and paste, Word doc. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And start there. I agree with you, Danielle, because I don't want you spending any money until you're profitable.
Yeah, no, it's stupid.
Okay.
Can we,
Sound
on the
card as well.
FHR website, I think we use
Oh, no, did you say that?
It confuses me.
Which one? Which one?
What?
The back office?
The savvy card.
I'll
Oh,
teach you that.
Oh, savvy.
oh, that you can do a class on.
Well, that's a
Right?
mobile website.
It's a mobile website. Yeah,
What's your answer?
yeah. We'll get Tom Scaglione in to teach a class on that. He'll be happy to do that because he loves that
But
thing.
can we pull IDX onto that webpage, or no, because there's a
I
website?
know what, oh,
That'd be
that.
sharp. Can I like put a link to it maybe or
Yeah,
something?
there's always ways to do it, it's just links.
Yeah, because it's a link. Because you can add a link.
Copy and paste it. I know.
See, answer your own
You
question.
can also put a down payment resource link too.
Yeah, she'll teach you. She'll get you squared away. It's not that.
She calls me how to turn her phone off.
All right. That being said, just do it, guys. I mean, just go do it. When you sit these bank-owned open houses, you'll meet people. If you got another source of meeting people, great. All right? Go, screw up, mess up the leads. Boy, I wish I would have done this next time. I'll do it differently. You don't know what you're going to do differently until you do it. All right? My house is for sale in Tennessee. Forgot how to even do it, So I put an open house. You can put an open house link on Zillow. All right. By the way, they're having the issues up there, right? All these people, my listings aren't feeding to Zillow. Right? What's going on? You know what I did? I went to Zillow and added my listing.
I know you can do that, but you said at the office meeting that it'll pull from our MLS to Zillow?
Because, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I put one in last night. And I know it takes like 48 hours or something, but I just wanted to make sure.
It will. It will. If it doesn't, reach out to the Mid-Florida Regional MLS and say, hey, what's the deal? It's supposed to be, I clicked the yes internet, thing box and to do it. So, and do it. But up there in Tennessee, they haven't struck the deal yet between their MLS. And so, what did I do? Well, I researched it and I can go into Zillow and add the listing manually. Okay, so, I can't believe it, they're not, List Hub's not doing it. Let me tell you what it takes to harvest prune plums. All right? And then you tell me how difficult it is to go in and load your stinking listing to Zillow. All right? You're sitting in an air-conditioned room, all right, with shorts and a t-shirt on.
Next to the pool.
Okay? Next to the pool, all right, because you got internet access. I don't want to hear it. All right? I really don't. Okay? I don't want to hear how busy you are because you have 2 listings under contract. What is that? All right? Go do a bunch of business and figure out how you can do it. Oh, I'm slammed. Everybody I talk to, I'm slammed. Now look at their production. How are you slammed? You did $800,000 in sales last year. How is that slammed? I don't get it. That's $24,000 in commission. That was on 3 deals. You paid me $250. All right? And so what are you living on? I don't get it. How do you live? Right? What's your plan? Well, it's just not, then go make it work for you. I don't know. When's the last bank-owned open house you sat? Well, I'm still waiting for my signs to come in. I don't know. All right? I'm just telling you. Go meet people. You got to go to somebody last night, Amalphus Sepulveda. All right? Amalphus, self-admitted, very hard to understand. Heavily accented. All right? So what does she do? She goes to, what's it called? Group meet or meet up? Something. There's a thing now called Meetup, right? It's kind of like everybody, and she goes to this Meetup. It's a Spanish-speaking Meetup group, and she's a realtor. They all have Avon businesses and everything else, and it's like a BNI kind of thing, but it's not a paid-for thing, and they just meet up and they just share stuff back and forth. And she's already got 3 clients that she's working with from there, because she said, I'm going to go out and meet people. All right, and right now it's hard for me to sit in an open house because when they come in and they're English speaking, my English is so limited and so accented that it's hard for me to actually convert them. This is Amalphus. She's an agent with us, and so she took a step and went to this. It's called Meetup or something like that.
Yeah, I actually.
Yeah. Okay.
have an app.
Yeah. See. Okay. And right. She went to Meetup, a Spanish-speaking Meetup, and like I said, they have Arbonne and Avon Group, you know what I mean? A lot of them are multi-level marketing things. Fine, great, but she went in there and she listened to their spiel. She kind of shares back and forth, exchange cards, just tell them information. You know what I told her to do? I said, how many people come? And she said, usually 15 to 25. I said, so 20. I said, if I were you, the minute you have an extra $320, all right, buy 20 copies of this book and go donate them to each of them. Get a little stamp that says Amalthus Sepulveda. It's fine with me. Stamp it in. The Gideons stamp it on the outside of their Bible when you go to a hotel, right? Okay? Stamp it right in there, and who knows what might happen. The best thing they can do for their business, in my opinion, is to read this book.
They have
Okay.
like mommy groups,
I know.
fitness groups, anything
Yeah.
that fits what your interests are so
Yep.
that it's fun. It doesn't have to be all about business.
No.
It could just be meeting other moms, a painting group, a
Yeah.
we speak Chinese group.
Yep.
They have seriously everything you can imagine.
Yep.
We like shoes group. I'm serious.
I know.
I'm not even exaggerating.
I know you're not. Okay, and I'm just telling you, it's meeting people. It's just out there. Like-minded. Hey, look, I have an interest in that. You know, another guy, Tyler Sheff. You guys heard Tyler?
Yeah.
Tyler's on the conference call a lot. He's knocking it out. He's knocking this business down backwards and sideways. All right, he told me the story again on the Friday conference call where he got 3 calls last week. You know what he's doing? He's going around, all right, to all the, he's an REO guy. He likes it. He buys some investment properties himself, all right, so he's all about the REO, right? So when something new comes on the market, he goes and investigates a new REO listing, all right? He just goes check it out, gets access to it, drops his card on the counter everywhere he goes, okay? Just leaves his card,
Oh, yeah.
okay, all right? Leaves his card. He got 3 calls again last week from people who said, hey man, I got your card because I saw it on the counter at an REO listing I was looking at. It's like, the first time it happened, he's like, what are you talking? He goes, I don't have any REO listings. He says, no, your card was on there. Matter of fact, it was like I saw it. I went to 4 different REO listings, and your card was always there. So I figured you must know what's going on.
Was it already listed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just went to go preview it.
So the buyers are the ones that called him?
Yeah. And you know why they called him?
Another agent?
No. Guess what? Because they called the listing agent, and the listing agent said, "Here's the code. Let yourself in."
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, are you serious?
That's terrible.
Okay. Well, let me say this again. I thought I was clear on this.
Why not know if
REO listing agents do not want buyers. REO. This thing on? REO listing agents do not like people.
Yeah, but they have an obligation. You take a listing agreement and you will market it and you will try to sell it.
I'm showing the property. I gave him the code.
Yeah, but why not? Actually, karma should bite them in the rear.
Telling you, you guys would all be great REO listing agents. I know it. All right? The REO agents who get the listings are not great agents.
I'm looking for one that really is.
Yeah, and there are a few. Matter of fact, we have one in our office. Dawn Davis is an awesome REO. She's very diligent. Okay? What's that?
The guy did open house.
Oh, yeah. Good. Okay. Majority of them, but why wouldn't he? Does he have any buyer agents? Yeah. Okay. I doubt that he does. All right. I doubt that he does. They get these leads. And so this guy calls and says, you know what? I've called these listing agents and they never give me, all they do is give me the code to get in. So I see your card at every one of these. Can you help me? I don't know. It's something I never thought of. That's a really cool idea. He's going to go because he wants to familiarize himself with the market anyway. Why not put it out there? Right? Never know what might happen. I'm not saying it's going to work for you. It works for Tyler. I'm not saying that's the only thing he's doing because it's not, but it's one of the things he's doing. Is now these people are wandering around saying, man, every time I go to an REO listing, I see your card, so you must, what's up, man? Can you help me out with these? My agent, or they do have a buyer's agent, and the buyer agent says, here's the code. Right? Go look at it. I'm too busy.
I would be so mad. That's why I only use BP.
Okay, I agree. But you know what? Some of these REOs, the banks mandate they put it on lockbox because they got vendors, they got people coming in doing repairs and all that stuff. So, and they all have the same one. Therefore, one Aquin was always OCW. All right, okay,
Right?
all right. It was
Or OCN.
right. Okay, they're always the same, right? So they just keep it constant. So that way they have vendors. They just know use the code, right? And so people go in and they just do whatever. Okay, use it to your advantage. If people are going to ignore clients, you show them a little bit of love. All right, it feels like a lot of love. All right, you're showing somebody a little bit of love feels like a lot of love, and you're the winner. I'm telling you, it's not that hard to be successful in this business, guys. Please hear me. That if you do the activity, Jim Hurley has $2.6 million under contract. Is it all from Banco? No. All right, but he will tell you that it's all from the fact that activity breeds activity. That he does 2 to 3 a week. And even though he can't directly attribute all 2.6 million to it, some of it he can, but he knows that when he works hard, the harder he works, the luckier he gets. Right? All this luck is just coming his way. If he just put something under contract for 1.1 million. Boy, how lucky he is. All right? Or he's also the guy that sits at bank-owned open houses 4:30 to 7:30, 3 weekend nights a week. Okay? But definitely one of the two. All right? He's either lucky or that's happening. One of my other favorite quotes came from a real small college. Their football team wore these on their training shirts underneath. It said, "Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard." Okay? All day long. All right? I told the story last night. Okay, so 5'8", 157. It's what I went into college weighing in height-wise. It's what I graduated college. 5'8", 157. By the way, I'm at 5'8", 159 right now. I'm trying to get those extra 2, all right, to get myself back down. All right, I'm right on the edge. All right? Played college baseball at a small college in Southern California, but the cool thing is in Southern California, you get to play, and we played USC and UCLA because in baseball, you can compete above your head. Our football team, we only had 3,000 undergrad in our college. Our football team would get crushed by USC, right? But our baseball team, you get one good pitcher and a couple good players, and you can compete, and there's enough talent to be trickled down to the lower, smaller schools, right? But that being said, I was never, ever talented enough to even play at that college. I wasn't. Was not gifted with the talents that some of these guys, all right? I played 4 years of college baseball because I worked harder than everybody else, all right? I was cerebral. I said, I'm going to take it to the next level. I'm going to think ahead of somebody else. I'm going to be better than them, all right? I'm going to work harder than they do, all right? And that's why, because I love baseball and I wanted to play, all right, desperately. That's why it pains me to see people with talent that waste it, that don't do something with it. And I have to remind myself of that, quite frankly. I look at these numbers and I say, hey, look, man, there are 130 Keller Williams agents that are throwing $17,000 away every year just from that one office in Orlando. I need to go get them, right? By the way, you can help me go get them because guess what? We're getting ready in May, the May office meeting, whatever that is, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, all right? By the way, Ron Chorney, you know Ron? Okay, this is awesome. He reminded me again last night. He was at the meeting yesterday. Okay, May 5th is Cinco de Mayo, of course, right? But May 4th is Ron Chorney's birthday, so he calls it Cuatro de Rano. It's always been Cuatro de Rano. Let's see if you ever see Ron Chorney, say Happy Cuatro de Rano to Ron on May 4th.
Danielle bought me a Mexican shot.
Look at that. See? There you go. And there's a permanent worm glued at the bottom. That's awesome. Okay. So as I say, we're going to hand out $29,000 worth of checks on May 5th. All right? Okay, that's the 10% sponsor bonus from last year for agents who sponsor agents to us. 10% of the 250s go back to the sponsoring agent. It's not 7.
You get it once a year. It's not like every transaction.
That's correct. We do it all in one fell swoop. All right. Okay, has more impact, and it'll be but start building up for next year, this year, right? Because so we pay it once a year. It has a ton of impact. But people, the board dues are so high. Well, you know what? Go make an extra $1,200 by just referring to some agents. All right, it's the best 10% I'll ever spend. Because quite frankly, if I try to send them an email, which we do, all right, I'm marketing to strangers. Okay, you guys have the relationship with these people already, so it's a lot easier for you to go have the relationship and communicate with your relationships than it is for me to market to strangers. So I'll happily pay that 10% for you to go communicate with the relationships you already have. All right. So that being said, I still sit there and say, okay, I have the talent though to still effectively communicate with these people, so I need to get on the phone. I need to talk to these people. I need to get in front of them. Let's go have an iced tea. Let me talk to you. All right. Would it be worth an iced tea if we sat down and I could save you $17,000 this year? I'll buy the iced tea. At the end of the day, you buy my iced tea, and you're going to want to buy my iced tea because I'm saving you $17,000. All right.
So like, let's say the chick I was going to bring today.
Yeah, that chick.
I already told her, I was like, oh my God, I have to
Right.
for a month, and she said, well, the only thing I'm concerned with is like, this and that. And the way I explain it is, well, from one transaction, I made enough to pay for for the year, for, whatever else.
Right.
And so, what kind of other steps would you take, or how to kind of
I'd send her to the website, let her talk to Jim, and let him take over.
Put in black and white like I did for you.
Yeah. Yeah, you can run the numbers. Some people are numbers oriented, other people are that, those kind of stuff. Yeah, but I don't know. We don't know. Each person's different. All you can, okay? All you do is lead them to the water and let them self-realize, right? They can run the numbers themselves. I mean, after, they go to our joinfhr.com. They actually have a calculator there. They can put in, well, I did 8 transactions last year on $40,000 of gross commission, and here's what, and I can put in, I was at 30. There's a calculator right there, and it compares the two, what you paid your other broker and what you would have paid us, right there. Okay, calculator's pretty it's like,
That part of the website, I was just like, all right,
yeah.
sign me up.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool website though. If you go there, it just has a commission calculator. So, but it's again, and it's just a one-on-one relationship. We don't pay 7 levels deep, and it's not designed to be that. All right, but it is what it is. That being said, all this is here, guys. Please, please, please take advantage of it. What can I do? I'm here to. You 4, I'll look in the eyes and say, what can I do to help you? All right. I say that to other people. All right. They don't necessarily pay attention. They call me in times of distress. We'll answer their questions. All right. But quite frankly, you guys get my first attention. The people who show up will get your first attention. I mean, it is what it is. I'm more willing to help those who want to be helped. Right. All right. Or we'll listen. People kept, again, the people that keep saying, well, Bob, who do you recommend for a great website? And I'm just like, don't get a website. Go sit a bank-owned open house. Yeah, I saw that. Where do you go? The website?
And the 2 people actually talking, trying to get them to FHR, my boyfriend was next to me while I was talking about it, and I'm like, why are you telling them the secret to your success? I want the same for them, and
Sure.
they're different areas,
There are plenty.
This little area, one's in St. Pete, one's in South Tampa.
Right.
I'm like, I want success for everybody, and then
Yeah.
go from FHR,
Right. Right.
So he's like, stop telling me about your secret.
Now, see, he's getting.
Probably not going to do it anyway.
That's right. Exactly. 80% aren't, all right, to do it. And even if they, again, there's plenty. There's plenty. Because the people who are looking at bank-owned open houses, the consumer, is wandering down with a bunch of codes that their realtor has given them to go look at properties. Okay, that's the way to service your client. Okay, right? Those are. Do we steal those people? No. All we do is build a relationship with them, and they say, "Wow, this is what a realtor needs to do." Amazing, because we already know that 80% of realtors out there are lazy. Okay, that's what it is. All right. Okay, so I'm going to cover this chapter real fast. All right, we'd have to break up into groups of 1 here to do this anyway, since we have such a small group. Okay, so okay, what's that? You want to do it? Well, it's already 11:15, so we'll talk through them though as a group. How about we are one big group? How's that? Yeah. Okay. Going back to in his book, are there times that you think it's advisable not to use electronic communication? Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Do you remember the specific in the book when this happened?
You sent over a contract and then they didn't sign it because they were
Intimidated?
Yes.
Okay. There you go.
brain fart.
Okay. Happens. Brain cramp. All right. Absolutely. All right. So, first-time home buyers in particular. All right. Somebody that's bought 8 homes might say, "Hey, dude, send me the contract, send me the paperwork. I'll take a look at it and I'll get it signed." Okay. He asked for it. You give it to him. They asked for it. She asked for it. That's cool. No problem. Okay. First-time home buyer. Hey, let me. I'm going to put this all together. We can kind of go over it. And if you have any questions, call me.
That's what she did. She said, and I was like, hey, agent does that. What did they do the first contract I get? Oh, if you can please sign this real quick, I'm just going to send it all.
What kind of?
I wasn't thinking of the easiness of it, but
Right.
really, we were like, what are we signing?
Right.
Just, I don't know.
It is funny that what kind of agent would do this? Me, right? Okay.
I really didn't understand it myself enough.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So it's like, hey.
So I was kind of like, maybe if they have any questions that I can specifically delve
Right. Perfect. By the way, Jim and I will be meeting on Monday to finalize, but we're going to be teaching a live contract class every month. Okay? And it may evolve into, hey, look, you know what? I was here last time, and now I have got some specific questions, so that's good. You may have to cover some, hey, we got new people that haven't been to the contract class. We got it online and all that kind of stuff, but we realize, too, that there's value in it. So live contract class will be coming. All right?
Different contracts every time, because like, I feel like the bar bar is almost, you do it so much, you kind of get it after a while, but like short sale condos, I have no idea about.
We can, you know what we could probably do, and Jim will talk about this, is that we'll probably cover the base contract each time, because that is the base contract, but specific addendums, this time we'll cover this addendum, next time we'll cover that addendum, or anybody have a specific addendum. But the other thing I can highly recommend, if you are not familiar with the contract, this is if you're on video right now or anybody else, write a mock contract. Yeah, we'll review it. Send it to Jim. He'll take a look at it. Hey, Jim, if I were buying this home, all right, now if it's all about the CMA, you know, and all kind of stuff, that's a different class. But if you're telling, did I fill this out correctly? We teach that. The 6-week success series that we have in there, people say, oh, you don't have a new agent stuff. Well, we do. You guys don't go to it. You know what I mean? There's a 6-week success series that's designed. Your first 6 weeks of the business, here's what I would do. Part of that is to choose a property, do a CMA, and write an offer. Okay? Billy and Betty Buyer. Okay? Mock it up so you're familiar. Here's the other thing. Here's a novel thought. Ready? Sure, is this on? Read the contract. No, I'm telling you, shock of all shocks. It's fairly self-explanatory.
It is.
Okay? It really is. They've tried to make sure. Now, there's some ambiguity there and some, but for the most part, they've removed a lot of the here tos, wherefores, and therefore out thous. All right?
But none of the agents go by contract.
Well, that's true too, is that we write offers and they put deadlines in there and says, oh, well, you know, I know we missed that, but no. And so, trust me, when the lawsuit comes down, the dates are the dates. The judge is not going to say, I don't care about the contract. The judge says, I do care about the contract. Matter of fact, I care about the contract more than about what you said. Okay? So the contract does matter. It may not matter to the agent, but it will matter to the judge if you ever get to that point. Okay? So read the contract. Educate yourself on that thing. It's what you're going to be using. Here's the other thing I always did. When I was working with a client as a buyer, I would provide them with a copy of the contract day one.
That's what I do, and I keep
Okay.
listing contracts in my folder.
Perfect.
Copy list over.
Exactly. Here's a sample of what I started I was self-affirming. I was doing an affirmation that we're going to buy a house. Right? The only reason you're in my car right now, or if we're not, I know with safety now where people aren't taking them in the car, that's cool. Hey, when we meet at the first home, hey, by the way, as we're driving to the next one, or later on tonight, or guess what, you can't sleep and you really want to, you ran out of your sleeping pills, read this. All right? Joke with them about it and say, take a look though, but this is what we're going to be using. When we write an offer, not if, not someday maybe, all right, when we write an offer, here's the contract we'll be using. So take a look at it. We'll dialogue about it. If you got any questions on the way.
Now the thing is, I can afford to do that at the FHR office. I can afford to do that at KW because they charged me, and then I still had to pay it.
Charge you for what?
Okay.
Oh,
Happy.
there you go. See? Exactly. See? You're just walking testimonial. I love it. Okay? That's good. Okay. There are times not to use it, though, right? How much value would you get? How much real value would Rick have received had he spent the 2 hours to drive over there, go over the contract with them, not only close that deal, but probably 4 more, right? Over the life of his real estate career from that one contract. Is it worth it to screw the deal by not taking the time to actually treat people the way they think they need to be treated, right? Okay? Do the next right thing. What is the GRE? That's called a guaranteed response email. We kind of cover it in a couple different ways here as we were teaching it. The guaranteed response email basically says this. Hey, Tanya, haven't seen you in a while. Hope things are going well. By the way, I got something I want to run by you. Give me a call sometime. Okay? What does she want to run by me? Does she want to give me a lotto ticket? Does she want to donate her car to me? Does she, why does he want, I'm sorry, you to call me. All right, why does he want me to call him? I wonder what that's all about. Probably, you're going to get those phone calls. Now, here where this is morphed into us. 18 months ago, first time we taught this, Dan Brainerd. You guys know, the Brainards, right? Okay, absolutely. Okay. Dan and Danielle Brainerd came to us. They were about 8 months, maybe a year into the business at the time. They got into real estate. By the way, they're killing it. Okay, they are. They're just a great couple. They are. All right. They are killing the business. Dan Brainerd took this with us, and he said, he put out way back 18 months ago, Facebook group page post, hey, I'm writing my power notes. It was the first. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, awesome. Good. Good. What is a good, compelling PS? Okay, is what his question was at the time. People got all sorts of good things. And what I did is I just got done reading the book. I said, and I was maybe ahead. I said, you know what? No, I think he came up with it himself. I think he said, I'm going to use this. By the way, there's something I want to run by you. Give me a call sometime. On his power note. So he kind of mixed the guaranteed response email with his compelling PS. Well, guess what? He came the next 2 weeks later. He came back to the meeting and said, I sent out 20 power notes. I got 5 calls back. All right. I said, dude, yeah, that's awesome. Because I'm learning this at the same time.
It's a good idea for your rental. To do maybe like 6 months in, hey, I have something to remind you, and then be like, oh, hey, I just wanted to see if you were going to rent again, or
What are your thoughts?
Right.
Test driving your car.
Exactly. And a power note is going to get even more response than an email. Okay, to them. You know what I mean? Handwritten note, they just, great idea. Perfect. Okay? So Dan gets these calls back, the 5 calls back, and they said, hey, Dan, I got your note. That's really cool. What did you want to run by me? And I said, and so I was on my edge. I said, and what'd you tell them? Because I was learning, I was like, yeah, so that's, it worked. Now what'd you do? Right? Now, in Michael's book, he teaches on the GRE when they call back. That's when you're going to drop the Are You the Chosen One script. All right? Hey, if you had somebody that you really respected that was looking to buy, buy or sell real estate, who would you recommend they use? That's the Chosen One script. All right? That's a little bit later in what Dan did, because he wasn't, that's a little ballsy, right? That's a ballsy question to ask. All right? So Dan wasn't comfortable with that. You know what he did? He's the guy, and we've now, now I've said it for the 3rd time, so now it's become mine, but truly it's Dan's. All right? First time I say it, hey, Dan said. Second time I say it, I've heard it said. And the 3rd time, as I've always said. Okay? Okay? So, but it's really Dan's, right? But here's what Dan came up with. Hey, you know what? Daniel and I are just kind of new in this business, but we've learned already in about a year that we've created a really good resource of people. So I was wondering, is there anything I can help you with and anybody I can refer you to? That was his answer. So catch this, all right? One of the people said, that's really cool. What do you mean? They probed a little deeper. He said, I don't know. Is there anything? Well, you know what's funny? Because just like 3 nights ago, John and I were talking, and you sold us a home, because he sent it to a past client, right? And now that we're homeowners, we were thinking, we probably should get a will. All right? Because that's kind of the next step. And we were realizing we don't have a will. And so do you have a good attorney that you would recommend to help us put a will together? So Dan said, hey, you know what? Danielle and I don't have a will. All right? So that's a good idea. Hey, you know what? Let me get back to you. Bing, action item, right? The whole reason to send the power note is to get to get a call so you have an action item, right? The whole reason for making an hour power call is to bing, get an action item. So now he has an action item. He goes to his dad. I think his dad is local, older, gray in the temples, has some, respect. Hey, Dad, who would you recommend? Oh, I got a good guy that I would recommend to help you with an estate attorney. Perfect. Great. Calls her back, gives it to him. The attorney, he does the triangle of trust, sets it up. All right, gets them all squared away. Everybody's good. I think 2 months later, he gets an estate listing from the attorney. Okay? I'm just telling you guys, it's not that hard. He's just establishing relationships. The estate attorney says, hey, look, man, that was proactive. That's kind of cool that he sent me a lead, right? Okay? Did his estate attorney read the book? Says, okay, now Dan's been generous, so now my next step is to reciprocate, and that reciprocation should be a referral. No, it just happened, right? That's what happens because generosity breeds reciprocity, which leads referrals, which leads to profitability, which leads to prosperity, which allows you to be even more generous, and the cycle starts over. All right? So Dan just kind of took it. So now we teach that. I kind of teach the GRE at the time when I'm teaching with a compelling PS. I think it's a great PS. And I think it's a great response instead of the out there, am I the chosen one? I think you got to be ready to give that, am I the chosen one script. In my opinion, that chosen one script is one after a one-on-one, and you've established some rapport. That's one of your ambassadors, or you're maybe an ambassador, and you want to know if they're an ambassador, then you put it out there.
That's a little too forward for me where I'm at.
I agree, 100%. All right, and so because of that, fall back on this other thing. How can I help you, right? Who can I refer you to, all right? Well, what do you mean refer me to? What do you mean? Well, I don't know if I didn't tell you, you didn't hear? Yeah, my goal this year is to give 100 referrals and receive 50 referrals. So what I'm looking to do is find ways that I can refer you help. I'm not looking to get 150 referrals. I'm looking to give 100 referrals and receive 50. All right? Boom. Remember that response to how's the market? Oh, the market's like the ocean, kind of ebbs and flows. I can't control. I've learned that I try and navigate as best I can. But what I'm most excited about is that I'm 32% of the way to my referral goal this year. Okay, very good. All right. It's a good thing to have. It's another bullet to have in your belt, right? Okay, another weapon ready to go. All right. So the GRE is awesome. The GRE, I think, can be used in a power note. I would use that don't do it every time you send a power note to but if it's just a third power note you've sent to them in this year, don't use it every time, all right? But if it's a fresh one, use that, okay? How do we develop our online community? Anybody a good online Facebook group? Anybody running something? Okay. All right. Has your online community created business for you at this point?
Yeah, I mean, people that I have in a contract now, I mean, I was friends with the husband, but then I was friends with the wife, and
Right.
she can't control everything.
Right.
So it's
Sure.
decisions about
Right. Sure enough.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, stuff like that, and getting referrals.
Right.
I mean, it's just like a big loop, yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy I told you about the listing that he said because I was young, he wasn't sure.
Yeah.
He chose me because I was young and I had more of a presence on social media.
There you go. Okay. Your online community, I mean, I'm not saying you have to blog and do all this kind of stuff. You can. I mean, there's evidence out there that stuff helps, all right? But I still think you're kind of fishing for some strangers. But the neat thing is there's a reason why. You see where agents will post congratulations and they take a picture of the family in front of their house when they're getting the keys in, the door. Have their permission, of course. Well, I mean, if you have their permission and you also, again, there's a big thing out there. There's also, you'll see some people, my name is Daniel Sullivan. I'm a realtor with Future Home Realty. Because even if it's on your personal Facebook page, it's considered an advertisement if you're promoting real estate.
So if I'm like, oh my God, my client's so happy, and I tag her in it and everything, and that's an advertisement.
I don't think they're going after it right now, but give them time and they will. All right, you have to say,
Even if it's on my personal page, not my business page.
Yeah. It's frustrating. I get it because some attorneys got a hold of something. Well, we didn't know you were, so technically, yes, I have to tell you. For the record, yes. You'd say, by the way, you can say Daniel, Sullivan, and I'm a licensed agent with Future Home Realty. That's it. You can kind of put it at the bottom or something. You know what I mean? I know it's corny. I know it. That's fine. Oh, it can be.
Well, because that's all part of the advertising.
Okay, I got you. If it already says that you're a realtor at Future Home Realty, then and your contact info, then you're good.
Okay.
Okay.
If you hide that,
I don't know about that because that wouldn't necessarily be the assumption that you're with Future Home Realty. Gotcha. But I think as long as your contact information says, do you have something?
Somebody, it was on the 100K group, said you could put the Future Home logo over your profile. That your profile picture includes.
Oh, like a little. Okay. Yeah.
That's a little photo editing, whatever, or whatever.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
the official rule is it's like a website wherever your contact information is, that's where it needs to say Future Home Realty.
Okay. Got it.
So if you have, it says right in there.
About you or whatever.
About you,
Yeah.
Open it up, it has whatever info you want to show. Just make sure it shows that.
Okay. Perfect. All right, fair enough.
Excellent.
All right, good info. Again, good deal. All right. So, but do that though. When you sell a home, do that. Right? Put it out there. You never know where that might go. That's free advertising. Free advertising, and 150, no 150. who knows where it might go? You know what I mean? So just put it out there, and that's developing your online community. Okay? This is one of my favorite lines in the book. All right, this is what Coach tells him. And Rick's like, he's like, man, Rick, sounds like the coach says, I got to be honest with you, 80% of my coaching clients never get to this stage. All right? Wonder how, there's the number, right? He said, a lot of them have dropped out by now. All right, but you're here and you're actually implementing. That's impressive. And it sounds like you're slammed. And Rick says, yeah, I guess I am, but you know what? I don't even really pay attention to that anymore, right? Now, we all know that that's probably not totally the truth because we all pay attention to our numbers because our numbers translate to dollars and our dollars translate to livability. I get that, right? However, one of the things that Coach says, yeah, it's kind of cool that you're at that point in your career now or your stage already, because when you take care of the people, and this is the teacher in me giving you the online quiz if we were in groups, the numbers take care of themselves. All right? We sometimes get so worried about the numbers that we forget to take care of the people, right? But when you take care of the people, the numbers really do take care of themselves, guys. It really is the truth. If you just build relationships, work those relationships and do the right thing and continue to do the next right thing, all right, you will not want for business. I fully believe that. Fully believe that. That if you just continue to do what you do, people will tell wonderful stories about you, all right, as you go. And here's one. Explain each one, teach one. At the end, he talks about that. Because Rick says, okay, I'm finally there. Anybody have any input on that?
Isn't that when you take the guy that you didn't like and you kind of coach him into it and into the seminar and stuff?
Exactly. Because really the best way to drive anything home, all right, and this is where I went back to Amalphus and said, hey, look, Amalphus, hey, you can make this a win-win. Go to that meetup group and buy them all a copy of this. Or if not, just tell them about it and tell them to buy their own copy for the first part. But if you could just start to explain a little bit, just some of the basic concepts of this, all right, in 7 minutes about build a relationship, do the next right thing, don't look for the referral, but do give them something of value first and then teach the generosity cycle, all right? You could do that in about 6 minutes easily, all right? And tell them that you should really go get this book and read it. That'd be a huge value. The best thing you could do for somebody that's a business owner is do that. Each one, teach one means this, is that when you understand it well enough to explain it, then you've really got it, all right? And it also holds you accountable. If you're telling somebody to do it, all right, that makes you more accountable that you should be doing it yourself. Here's the example. Literally 12 weeks, no, less than that, probably 10 weeks. 10 weeks after getting a C- in physics in college, right? By the way, a C- in college is what? Essentially an F, right? Here's what a C- is. C- in college, exactly, is, I went to a small university, they didn't have like 42 physics teachers. There's one guy that taught physics, right? So C- for me in physics was, dude, I don't want to see you back here next semester, so I'll get you out of my class. Okay, right? Because I had baseball in my mind, I was other things, I was not applying myself as well as I could. He wasn't that good of a teacher, but still, and it's physics. Well, guess what? I graduated, okay, got my math degree, and about 10 weeks later, I was teaching high school physics. So dead on, okay? Guess what? When did I learn physics? Absolutely, and I'd like to say I was a chapter ahead of them. I was about a half a chapter ahead of them. Okay, all right? But I learned it because dadgummit, I wasn't going to fall flat on my face. And actually, I learned really cool ways to teach physics. I said, well, if the dude had taught me this way, all right, I would have learned it better, okay? So I really dug in. But each one, teach one really means a lot to me because when I really learned something is when I knew I had to have it out there and teach this stuff, all right? And if you get to the point where you're going to start teaching that, all right, it's really cool. By the way, just a quick aside, I always like to expand myself. Jeanette, but not expand myself. So I got two more pounds to get back down. Not expanding that way. All right, Jeanette started reading this book. She got it on our Kindle, so I picked it up from the library. Totally aside. It's nothing to do with business, but I just like to grow my mind. It's called The Joy. This is very clever. The Joy of X. Okay? It's all about math. But check this out. This guy's a rocket scientist that wrote this, and he was so tired of the way people had this math anxiety, and I can't stand math, and I don't understand it. All right? Because I've taught calculus. All right? Okay? I learned things about calculus in this book that so that's that's the true meaning. That's how I could use a derivative. That's how I could use an integral. Okay? All these things that I learned to rotely pass a test on, this guy does a great job of explaining. It's incredible. It's very funny. All right? It's really cool about, trigonometry. He takes sine and cosine and just puts it says, imagine a little girl going around a Ferris wheel. And he teaches you what sine and cosine and tangent are based upon that. It's amazing. Right, exactly. It's like not a button I push on the mathematic calculator I have to get it. Yeah, right, exactly. Right? And so, but it's really cool. And I encourage you, always expand yourself. Don't fall into the rut of just reading crap and garbage and, you know what I mean, and sit in front of a TV. And I use the funny illustration all the time about who cares what rose gave to who got the rose last night on whatever show that is. All right? Go, find something of interest and expand yourself. You know what I mean? Just go do something. I like that book. It's awesome. Well, you're allowed to, but not all the time. I just see so many people say, I don't know why this business doesn't work. Right? It's because you don't work. Right? The reality is we are where we are because of the decisions we've made. All right, to do it. How many read the El Factor de Fred? Okay. Anybody read it? Did you read it?
Yeah, I'm like 78% done.
Okay, cool. Jim, you can skip the slides. We'll
That
just.
one is an easy read.
I'll post it. I'll post it on there. That's all right. I'll post it on the thing. There's a PowerPoint that I had. Actually, the PowerPoint's from like 7 years ago. I looked at it, and things haven't changed. The book's the same. Okay? It's a great book. Read the book because all it is about extraordinary customer service, going above and beyond, taking the next step, not satisfying for this is what my job requires of me, the bare minimum. All right, and when you do that, again, it's the old, we've heard it 1,000 times, right? What's the difference in ordinary and extraordinary? The little extra, okay? That's true, though, because it becomes exponential, to borrow a term, right? It's not only, if that's what most people do, all right, you do just that little and it feels like a mountain more, because that little is a mountain more than just the average person would do. And to the person you're helping, it feels like a million things. All right? It really is. And go through the book because it's not only just meeting their needs. It's not even just exceeding their expectations. It's anticipating needs that they don't even know they have. Right? Got a first-time home buyer? They don't know what to expect in the whole process. Help them anticipate these issues and meet those before they even know their needs that they have. Does that make sense? All right, so anticipate those and go above and beyond, and you're going to just win people over. All right, that's the whole gist of the book. There's some really cool stories in there and how he goes about it and some things. It's by the way, you can tell Michael had read the book. All right, my PowerPoint was from 2008 in Fred Factor, so obviously the book with Fred Factor was written prior to 7 levels. All right, go ahead.
I was on.
Yep.
Okay, so I had a listing where she had a dog, but she didn't, there's no lock box. She wasn't home, go get the dog, leave it in the car, drive it around, wait. And so to me, that was kind of like just taking the extra step to make sure she was doing what she needed to get sold.
Right.
And my team leader's like, no, you're not her dog sitter, you do not need to be doing that, it's not your dog, she needs to get a crate. And I'm like, but I feel like that's what the service I want to provide.
Yep.
Is to be able to go above and beyond that. And I like one, out. Not safe, take stuff down.
Sure.
So cluttered. And my next one, I helped her lay some molds down.
Right.
And that's the type of service that I do. But other people were telling me you could be putting that by lead generating or this and that.
Here's my answer. You are lead generating. You're doing the right thing. You do exactly.
I'm like, that's what I want to do. That's how I want to run my business.
So that's why I'm no longer with your team. Right. Because that's the way I would do it. And I would agree with you 100%. Do you know how many times I sold so many FHA homes? 90% of the business I did was FHA. All right. I am not handy at all. Okay. But I would keep a wire brush, a little small toolkit. Jim will attest that I'm not handy. All right. But I kept things to overcome small dry rot, all right, in my trunk. An appraiser's there, all right, and he says, I noticed a little, FHA appraiser, right, little bit of dry rot right there. I have wood putty in my car. I said, if I putty that up right now, by the time you walk around the house, would that suffice? 90% of the appraisers say, yeah, I'm good with that. All right, because I don't want to have I don't want to get it fixed and then have you come back out here for a re-inspect. It's going to kill. I've got a short time frame here. All right, I learned it because it said, hey, look. So I kept wood putty in my car. All right, okay. Not all appraisers would, and maybe things have changed then. So don't take me to the bank on it. But at the time, I said, can I just, you know what I mean? What are you concerned about? Well, you know, it could be water intrusion. That's why FHA has this rule. Okay, well, great. Now it's locked up tight. You good? That's what a handyman's going to come out here and do anyway. All right. And it wasn't even required that it had to be painted; it just had to be, you know, filled. So I would just, you know, I would just do stuff like that. You know what I mean? Screw thing. I kept wire caps, you know, the wire caps and things, and then the little plates, you know, that cover like a open, you know, yeah, the junction boxes. Oh, that's, you know, that's exposed. We can't have that exposed. Bam, boom, good now? Yeah, we're good. Okay, it wasn't worth it to me to have to go through the hassle of waiting for this guy to come back and do, you know, this kind of stuff. I just, you know, but that's putting the dog in the car so that the house showed well. It's helping them. Okay, yeah, I'm sure it did. All right, probably better to get it out of the house. They could have just, you know, should have. Yeah, that's right. Well, that happens. All right. Okay. All you can do is educate them. But it's just that it's that little extra, because guess what? I mean, that kind of stuff will come back to pay you back in spades.
You bring these like almost big scale examples, but the book actually is very small examples, small things of kindness, saying something, being kinder, go above and beyond, more happy, reach out above and beyond. Like when I worked, whatever, if I was a realtor, I had this one, and I was in purchasing, and had this phone conversation with somebody that started out kind of aggressive, and at the end, the other person said to me, "Thank you for your friendly help." And I hung up, and I'm like, "Well, I was so friendly." She kind of stabbed me there.
Right.
But I do that. If somebody's really nice and don't only say thank you for your help, thank you for your friendly help, thank you for your super help, whatever, and people pause so much because nobody does that. Nobody puts it like an adverb or adjective, what is that, in front of the help.
Right.
And that's what he talks about a lot too. They're making somebody feel nice, and that is such a little thing. To say that or not say that costs nothing. Like what you did, Danielle, was going above and beyond, and hours of your time.
Right.
I actually felt the book was even more about the everyday, in the minute, you can be extraordinary without planning and without any extra.
And that's exactly it. And you nailed it. I agree. That's perfect.
Say to the bank teller, "Oh, thank you for your efficient help. Thank you for seeing so quickly. Thank you for whatever."
Right.
And I felt that was more right.
And I think that, and she hit the nail on the head. It's not, yes, it is, and we all can look at these big things, but it is. It's because that's part of what you're supposed to do is every day, just live your life doing the little things. Right. Exactly. That's exactly. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Well, matter of fact, I don't know if he mentions the Fred factor in the book, too. Michael does, and says that's one of those assignments that Rick had to do was read the Fred factor. It's just, but it is the little things, because those little things stand out. You know, now more people are catching on to it, all right? But did it take you aback at first when Chick-fil-A would say, "It's my pleasure"? Okay? We'd say, "Hey, thanks, appreciate." You know, go to Chick-fil-A and go to McDonald's and see the difference in when you pick up your food. All right? And they say thank you, at McDonald's and they grunt, right? And then you say thank you at Chick-fil-A, and the answer is, because it's top down, it's been ingrained in them, it's my pleasure.
When I worked at Capital Grille, we had what's called the EDGE, exceptionally distinctive guest experience.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a whole vocabulary. You never say no problem. You will only say absolutely. Or it's my pleasure. It's never supposed to be a problem in the first place. So it was a whole vocabulary you had to use. You would actually get in trouble for saying no problem or you're welcome. So it was like a whole, it was crazy.
Words matter. Words do matter. The way you say it and the attitude, the smile you have when you say it. All right? All right. But it's my pleasure. All right? Doesn't work, right? It truly has to be your pleasure. That's why you're there. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's just, and you're right. So you're so right, Tanya. That's excellent. I appreciate your input there because it's the tiniest of things. It's an attitude.
And that's going to leave the woman fuzzy as you walk away. I think that saying goodbye, well, thank you, and then maybe thank you for your time today. Thank you for squeezing me in. Thank you for something. Put something in there that leaves it with the
Right.
fuzzy.
It's, you know what? What's different? What was different about her? And they may not have your card and hunt you down. It doesn't matter. They'll run into you again, or they may never run into you again either. You're not doing it because you're looking for business. You're doing it because it's a great way to live, right? Fred, as a male guy, didn't make any more money, all right, by doing this. You know, that's just the way of life for him. It was just a better way to go. All right, so read the book. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it a lot as you go through. And there's some powerful things. All right. 7 habits. Okay, this one I think I told you, and we got about 10 minutes, and we'll just bang through this. All right. Anybody read this? Okay. Yeah, good. Awesome. On the plane. Very good. This is one of the most powerful habits, in my opinion. Is this something I struggle with? You have young children. Anybody else young children? Okay. You guys, you ever seen Peep in the Big Wide World? No? Okay. Peep in the Big Wide World, look it up. It's on PBS, and it's if you go to pbskids.org, you'll find all sorts of replays of it. Peep's just like a small little bird, and Chirp is his friend, and there's a duck that's named Quack, right? And Quack is a narcissist. Quack sees the world through Quack's eyes, all right? And he sings songs like, it's great to be a duck, there's nothing like a duck, everybody wishes they could be a duck, right? That kind of thing, all right? Well, this is from years ago. This has been around. So Joseph's now 12. Joseph's, back when he's 4, and he's watching these things, and up through he's 7 or 8. There are many times I get called Quack at my house, all right? Because I can be very narcissistic. My background is, I would leave the house at 7:30 in the morning when I was young, like 4 or 5 years old in the summer, okay? And just run the neighborhood. And because there's nothing, trust me, I've laid on many a couch to figure out if there was something that really happened to me and why I wanted out of my house so badly, okay? And as far as I can tell, none of it's happened, all right? I haven't been hypnotized yet to figure out if there was something that really happened, but it just wasn't a positive atmosphere. I didn't want to be there. All right? I wanted to be on my own. So I became very self-managed. All right? So that is fine up until the point that now you try and enter into a relationship with somebody. That makes it difficult, right? I never had a good husband-wife relationship modeled for me. All right? So now I'm struggling, because I've gone a lot of years, right, trying to be, hey man, I got to fend off everybody. I'm on my own here, right? Literally, I'd go out and even if I came home, there wasn't lunch waiting for me, right? So I may as well just go turn in some bottles and cans and go get a Tip Top burger. I remember like it was yesterday, okay? If I had enough cans, I'd go get myself a Tip Top burger and do this, right? So with that in mind, it's hard for me. I've lived my whole life seeking to be understood rather than to understand. And so flipping that on its head has been I don't even realize when I'm doing it how badly I'm doing it, okay? But when you start digging into this stuff and you start seeing that your communication is a reflection of your true character, right? And he talks about that in the book. There's some powerful phrases in there. You're a highlighter. Anything that you want to share that you've highlighted, Danielle, from this chapter in particular?
I really relate to Firebug. One of the things that I really liked, I have to find exactly where it was, but it pertained to this business. Well, like, okay, for me, I've had a lot of acquaintances, and it took a lot of maturity and things to find new friends out of those acquaintances. And I find the ones that stick around that I have now, like Evelyn, and I have one or two, really close friends. Those are the friends that actually listen to me. They're not just like, and like my own team, my old team leader, she'd be like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, you're really not, I need someone to like listen and to understand. That's one of the things that I look for in a friend, and I can tell the difference when they are and when they aren't. I can tell everyone wasn't listening to me when she was going to grow up. And I'm like, are you nauseous? But one of the things I really like is, as a principle of negotiation, is to separate the person from the problem, to focus on interest and not positions, to invent options for mutual gain, and to insist on objective criteria. So, like, for me, as far as negotiations, I'm really bad at it, but I said, okay, well, maybe whatever side I'm on, if I understand why they need $3,000 in closing costs, or if we can meet in the middle because my agent, my client can't give that much closing costs, and just delve into just really listen to what they're actually saying. Not, hey, we just want more money. Okay, well, what is it that you guys need to do? Can you not get the loan if you don't have it? Can you not? And just delve into it more. Like before, I just had the perception that, okay, they just want more money.
Right.
But maybe they really can't make it happen unless that. So, like, I really took that in terms of negotiation because I knew about it. Mm-hmm. So.
That's awesome. Okay, because when you actually begin to, the essence of seeking to understand before being understood is putting yourself truly in the other person's shoes. All right? Now, what Danielle kind of just hinted at, what she talked about her old team leader, that would just, Now, totally different. Empathic listening, true empathic listening is not one of the listening devices that we've been taught, right? We've been taught that you're supposed to active listen. And active listening is, part of it is mirroring them. Yes. All right. That's not empathic listening. All right. I was really good at mirroring people's, because I'd learned those devices myself to basically what they were trying to teach me to do is trick people into fooling them that I was actually listening. Right? Because if I maintained eye contact and make sure I nodded every once in a while, then that was good. All right? At least I wasn't staring off into space. All right? That was growth for me, by the way, to even get to there. Right? But to truly empathically listen, it takes really putting yourself in the other shoes. Is saying, okay, I'm really going to get on the other side of this and understand her, his, their perspective. Right? And figure out where they are. And so, because of that, the way I was communicating, I'm finding, is shows me where my roots are. And as much as I think of growth as I've achieved, I've got a long way to go. I'm still pretty narcissistic, if I really am honest.
So going with that, this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, but it says the amateur, an effective salesperson first seeks to understand the needs, concerns, and situations of customers. The amateur salesperson sells products. The professional sells solutions to needs and problems.
Bam. I.e. definition of consultant, right? That's what we want to be. We don't want to sell something. Selling something is the amateur. The professional seeks solutions to problems. That's what we do. That's all we do, right? People have a problem. If it weren't, remember we talked about this 100 times. If it were that easy, why would they give us 6%? Right? 6% is a lot to give out of somebody's equity. All right, for you to transact this deal. All right. So because of that, if it were easy, they would do it on their own. They would not need you. All right. So we're glad that it's not easy, but we also have to show that value. Okay. It's good. Well, and you know what? I'm good, and I like it. So we'll probably peek some more. How does empathic listening differ from the standard active listening? That's what we were talking about before, all those devices we had learned. But true empathic is, even though the other thing too, I had to rethink, and maybe you guys can lend on this too. Empathy always was for me the difference between sympathy and empathy. I can sympathize with somebody, but I can empathize if I had gone through it before. I don't know that empathic listening means that I actually had to have gone it before, but I actually am putting myself and trying to feel what they're feeling. Okay? Now, I could wax on for days about the fact that I had to learn how to feel first, right? Because I'd become so hardened, all right, that I can't feel the way you're feeling because I can't feel the way I'm feeling. All right, you know what I mean? I got to have feelings before I even start to delve into how you're feeling. But I had to get there first. But truly, I can do it without having, just because I haven't lost a leg doesn't mean I can't empathize with somebody who has lost a leg. All right? If I truly allow myself to get out and in there, I can. Now, can somebody who's lost a leg better do that? Yeah. All right. But can I still do it empathically? I think I can. All right, would you agree? Okay, but it takes effort. It's a lot easier not to. Okay, a lot easier.
I found it so interesting or eye-opening as I was reading some of this, how you can study different people, how they are. And I think that's funny with the husband-wife relationship. Relationships that often, like, I can't vent to my husband because all he wants to do is give me advice.
Oh, I love that.
And I just want to say, I don't want advice. Just be quiet. Just listen. Don't give me advice. And then I have more girls probably. I have a girlfriend that if I tell her a story, she probes and probes and probes, and then it gets uncomfortable. Like, I didn't want to tell you that part. I only want to tell you this part. Stop asking now. This is too much. But how do you tell somebody that if I started talking? I mean, then how do? No, she's just curious. She's just like, what? What do you mean? So they did what? What? Well, that's really none of your business. I just wanted to share this small part in a stop. So it's so funny how you can have different people. And I mean, I love my husband and I love my girlfriend. So
right.
They're all good people. But I was like, this is what's happening when he describes where it gets too uncomfortable. And I don't want to do that to a client or somebody when I realize it. So I found that just, it's not really the book to be amused while you're reading it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm smiling, yeah, been there, done that, experienced that.
What you're describing are the 4 autobiographical responses, right? And autobiographical, by that he means focused, when the person listening is focused really on themselves. Because now let me lecture, let me advise, let me solve a problem, let me probe. All those things are so true, and he does a great job. Lisa Warner didn't come to last night's meeting, but I put in there because she said this book was so hard for her to read, she couldn't get her mind wrapped around it. Lisa Warner, she's an agent with us. She usually comes to the night session. And we talked about it last time. That's why I tagged her in the post when I promoted it. I said, hey, Lisa, I said, pay attention to the stories. I said, because there's the story of the father and the son.
I love that.
And how they go through what the father thinks he's saying and what the son is really hearing is there's such a disconnect there, right? And the father's not being, he's intentionally trying to help, right? I mean, but he thinks he's helping and he's not, right? But I think it so accurately points out what happens, and he even points out, here's where he's being directive. Here's where he's being, probing. Here's what, he's being all these things. And I sit there and say, well, I've done that. I've certainly done that. Oh, yeah, I do that. I did that 7 minutes ago. I did that, right? And so it's just, it's a great way to drive it home. And you're so right and so we want to not be that way ourselves, right? And that's great. We're never going to be perfect, all right? But we can be aware, all right? The first step to changing. One of the other things I put up here too is before that, it talks about I love the concept of don't diagnose before you prescribe. Or do diagnose before you prescribe, I should say. Too many times we do it backward, right? What would you think about a doctor as soon as you walk? I mean, he uses the illustration of the glasses. Here, try these. Well, you haven't even diagnosed what I need. What are you talking about? Try these. Well, they work for me. Should work for you. Well, just because your eyes, you know what I mean? Or the illustration where he says that they were at that football, they were at a thing and the whole count was at the football game and they called the doctor on call, right? And said, hey, look, we need a prescription. And then they got to talking. You think he realized that she was an infant? I don't know. I'm sure he did. Well, let's call it back. They did, and sure enough, he didn't. And so I'm glad. So he was prescribing before he had diagnosed. And we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to, we've got to truly understand before we can even help somebody. And quite frankly, the majority of the time, it's not our job to help anybody. He references it, by you understanding and just being there and listening to them truly, 90% of the time, they're going to self-realize their own answer.
That's what I want to do when I want to venture the husband.
Right.
That's right.
I get it. I get it.
Talk myself through it,
Uh-huh.
and I'm going to come to the big conclusion.
Right.
And I don't want his advice.
I agree. And I understand that. Okay? Just make a copy of those chapters a little bit and just kind of leave it out for him somewhere. All right? To do. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Exactly. Those little hints. It's like what was the funny post I saw that studies show that women who carry an extra 20 pounds live 30 years longer than the men who mention it, or something like that. Something like that. That's funny. All right. So we all understand the concept of diagnose before you prescribe. You can't prescribe unless you've actually got there. All right, the 4 autobiographical responses we talked about. I love that. It's a great illustration. And understanding, he kind of references this. Understanding leads to a changed perception on my part because I'm seeing a different perspective. I'm seeing that, oh, wow, there is a young lady there in that picture. Let's go back way to the beginning. Remember the old lady, young lady picture? What do you mean? It's an old lady. No, it's a young lady. I tell you, But when okay, now that I'm coming from your perspective, I see that, which, by the way, allows them to open up, and they'll be even more open to understanding me. But I want to be understood first. I know you got something to say, but before you do that, let me tell you about me.
Same thing as a parent.
It's exactly what he's doing, because that paradigm or that perception shift leads to a win-win in essence, because they are understood and therefore they are more willing to understand you. Please do.
I was in Mexico, and it was just one of those ding moments.
Yeah.
There was this lady, older, super, super nice, but she was like not wasted, but
But,
she was drunk, like
yeah.
welcome dinner, and I don't drink.
Right.
So she was kind of like noticing. So she's like, I'm like, well, drinking, at the farewell dinner, she's like toasted, and I'm thinking, some rich, blonde old lady, she
Right.
just drinks all the time. Well, we got to talking, and I've been sober for years, and then she's like, oh, I'm drinking so much because I actually run I'm a principal of a drug and alcohol treatment high school, and so I don't drink in my hometown, so when I'm on vacation, I like to drink.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God. So it's like those moments where I'm like,
She was making up for the whole year.
Yeah, right.
It was one of those moments just that I was like, you don't really ding it in your head too often. I was like, ding.
Right. That's funny. That is great. I love that. That is funny, but it's, and so it gives you a different perspective on why she's doing it, right?
She wasn't like wasted wild, but she was like,
Right.
She gets a little bit exhausted.
Right, but then you're saying that, hey, look, man, this lady's a lush all 24/7, right? Is what you're thinking. But the reality is she's not. She's just sowing her oats right then because she can't out there, and that's, you got to respect that actually. Hey, look, I get the fact you're in Mexico. You're not only not in the city, you're in a totally different country, right? Exactly. That's funny. That's good. So if you haven't had a chance to read it again. I'm telling you, because I had read it again, and I highlighted even more new stuff as I go through it. This one just really hammered me because I'm working hard to get to the point where I can, because I want to model a good relationship for my son. I didn't have it, right? So I want my sons to be able to see what that is, and it's not there yet. I got a long way to go. All right, 25 years in. All right, I'm just lucky that Jeanette happened to, believe a vow is a vow, and has hung it out with me. You know what I mean? That we're there. But it's just amazing what this. I just firmly believe that I'm a firm believer in these two books. Is what I'm telling you. Okay.
I write notes next to kids or me.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it, I feel like, does relate to you and your mom, and that's why I tell my boyfriend to read it too.
Yeah.
Because now that you're a parent, because I feel like a lot of it really does. Or like the way I talk to my kids,
Mm-hmm. You know, it's for him in his stories, I'm sure he obviously, and he would probably self-admit he's now gone, no longer with us. But Covey would admit he's not perfect, but he seems like he'd be a pretty cool dad to have. You know what I mean? That if he was actually that evolved, you know, that he would sit there and try and put himself. I'm sure he wasn't perfect, and he would again self-admit on that, but just the fact that he would make an effort. You know what I mean? And I don't. For me, you know, effort's good. You know, and so I think my sons can see me making an effort, but then I've got to step it up a notch above that. Okay, effort's great, all right, but there is no try, only do. So Yoda tells us. And I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but who was telling me somebody was a big Star Wars fan? There's a big shirt out now because I guess it's coming out May 4th is when the newest Star Wars. So now it's May 4th be with you. Yeah.
I think
That's. Oh, has it? Okay.
shout out me for it.
Oh, is that what they always do it? Maybe that way. Maybe that's a good marketing ploy. I mean, I don't really pay attention to Star Wars that much, but May the 4th be with you. So, cool, awesome. Our next meeting is May 6th. Okay. This room's not available again. All right. So I know it's going to be a long way for you, and because it's such a small group, we're going to do it at the West Chase office. Okay. Yay for you, not so yay for you guys. I get it. But you know what? The good news is you'd be traveling north in the morning, and traffic's not that bad northbound in the morning. It's usually southbound. So it'll be at the West Chase office, May 4th, 10 a.m. Yep, May 6th. Sorry, I had the Star Wars on my brain.
If you say West Chase, is that the main office, Limeball?
Yeah, Limeball. Yeah. Yep. May 6th, 10 a.m. Limeball/West Chase office. /Tampa. That will be the last one. Yep. Last one. Now, I know Jim Hurley in particular is looking to put together a mastermind group of people that want to meet at least monthly, if not even more often, to actually kind of more of an accountability group through the summer. Now, Jim's, again, remember, New York, he'll drop some F-bombs on you if you're not doing what you say you're going to do. All right? But he's so pay attention to the 100K group page. He's going to put together a group that's going to do that. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's right. Exactly. They're not. Yeah, here they're doing it. So, and congratulations again for being part of the 20%. I know it's not easy. It's time. It takes effort to be here.
What was the last session?
Last session we had about 3 people as well. I knew we changed locations. That was tough. That's right. Understood. That's okay. That's right. But I'm also not going to pay $220 for a hotel room, meeting room for 3 people. So that's why we'll be at the conference room. At the Tampa, Limeball, West Chase office.
You recorded it though, right?
We did record that, right? Yes, we did. Yep, so it's there, so we can go back. They are? Yep. We only had like 3 or 4 people, but it was good. It was Tyler was there, and I think Jim was on it, and just people that were doing it are there. So, yep, so still Fridays. Yep. Yep. Right. That's fine. Well, they're there when you need them. The conference call is still happening, and then I think it'll be good. I think these guys can get together and mastermind together. It'd be awesome. So, all right, guys. No homework. Oh, you know what? Just finish the book. Yeah, read actually 6 and 7. Because habit 7 is really just what's called sharpen the saw. We'll talk about that briefly. And it basically means just constantly evolve. All right, and there's a really neat story behind Sharpen the Saw, but when you read it, it's pretty good. All right, cool. Awesome. All right, guys, thanks. Have a great day. Thanks for showing up. And